Namaste, my name is Acharya Vidyabhaskar, and I grew up in Switzerland and India and was fortunate enough to study Sanskrit in a traditional monastery from the age of 12, including all the foundations of Sanskrit grammar, as well as the scriptural foundations, where I was able to acquaint myself with the Hindu scriptures and the commentaries and sub-commentaries in depth. First, I'd like to just give a quote. Yo bandhana vadhakleshan praninam nachikirshati sasarvasya hitaprepsu sukhamatyantamashnute. And in paraphrased translation, this means that he who does not seek to inflict any suffering of capture or death upon a living being, such a one is the well-wisher of all and attains perfect happiness. So we're talking about any kind of suffering, whether it is capture or...
Okay.
So this is the parameter that we are following. Then there is no way that a modern Hindu can see the suffering of cows and of calves and any other animals. But let's focus on cows and calves, and then simultaneously be a consumer of the dairy product. That makes no sense. Again, a question of the parameter. So you're a legal person, right? You're a lawyer. So what is the parameter that is set by the Gita? And the parameter is sarva bhuta hite rataha. That people who are on the path of wisdom, so Bhagavan Shri Krishna describes them as sarva bhuta hite rataha, which means literally immersed rataha sarva bhuta hite, in the well-being of all beings. So not manushya hite rataha. It doesn't say in the well-being of human beings or the well-being of your family or the well-being of your clan or of your society. It says sarva bhuta hite rataha. So if we take that as the parameter, then the Gita statement that ghritam, ghee, is sattvika, is light and is healthy, that statement has to again be seen in a relative context. Because if the consumption of ghee or dairy product leads to the suffering of a being, then obviously which clause, if we were talking about a contract, which clause would apply, right? So we have to ask the question, which one applies? And it's obviously the one where he states immersed in the well-being of all beings.
All beings.
Right. So that one applies. So we have to think a bit intelligently and not just work on the basis of customs and on the basis of traditions and tastes and likes, because the same argument about hundreds of years of drinking milk also goes for meat. You can say a person that says, well, my family has been eating meat for hundreds of years, therefore I cannot stop eating meat. Well, that's just an idea in the person's head, and that's not something to do with reality. Addressing the priest, I would point out, first of all, scripturally, I would point out that the use of pure water is higher than the use of any other ingredient. Whether it is for abhisheka or it is for offering to the deities, the use of pure water is higher. And I can give you the scriptural references for that. Secondly, we have to also adjust dharma to the times. So there is a statement, yadyapi shuddham loka viruddham nacharaniyam, which means that even if something is pure in your view, even if something is right in your view, if it is against the loka, and of course we can say if it's against the world, in the sense of if it's against common sense, if it's against wisdom of the world, of the times, then you shouldn't do it. This is a scriptural statement. Use your common sense. Don't stick to a tradition just because it's your tradition. If it's not based on daya, if it's not based on compassion, it makes no sense at all anymore. So we have to think rationally. We should not think, and we have to think from the heart. We should not just think stubbornly, because that is a form of sangha. Sangha means attachment, and the scriptures tell us that nissangatve nischalatatvam, the absolute reality, the immovable reality, is in detachment. It's not in attachment. And if you are attached to a custom, if you're attached to a practice, to a ritual practice, you are not on the path to realizing ultimate reality. You're simply on the path of solidifying your attachment.
Non-violence, ahimsa, as it is known in Sanskrit, is really, I would say, the central idea of dharma, the principles. Amongst all the principles of dharma, I think it is one single principle, which is the principle of ahimsa, which is the most important principle. We find it expressed, for example, in the Upanishads, mahimsyat sarva bhutani, don't commit violence against any animal. Or in the Mahabharata, ahimsa paramo dharma, greatest dharma, ahimsa paramam dharma. It is the greatest form of austerity. It is the greatest form of truth. And then it declares that all other forms of dharma have in fact its origin in ahimsa. The moment I became aware of the atrocities that were being committed, thanks to some of the videos which my friends shared online, I just couldn't continue to drink milk. It was against everything that I believed. In my personal temple, which I have in my room, we use sesame oil.
Sesame oil.
Which is in fact a Sanskrit word for ghee, which is ajya, can also mean sesame oil. I personally, in my personal religious practice, I have just tried to avoid, to the best of my capacity, any usage of dairy products which is not of the origin of which I'm very clear. So I believe that each one of us has to think about this and has to find ways to minimize violence through their lifestyle and through their religious practices. Today the circumstances have changed. Earlier, milk, ghee, all these milk products, they became prominent because they replaced more violent forms of worship.
Right.
So they were seen as the non-violent form of worship.
Okay.
So they came into the picture simply because they were less violent. But today, when they have become violent, then we have to take a step further. And because ultimately the goal is to perfect our ahimsa. The cow which we are revering as mother, the question that we just have to ask ourselves that, do I want this to happen to my mother? Do I want to support it by consuming the milk and the ghee which is coming as a result of such treatment to my mother? This is a very simple question that we need to ask ourselves. And if we are committed to non-violence, if we are committed to compassion, then I think the answer is very clear.
The cows are raped.
Yeah.
The calves are slaughtered.
Right.
The cow is milked by machines.
Yeah.
Whether it's an organic one or it's not, whatever it is, and then you get the milk that was meant for a calf, and you're worried about tallying banknotes.
So that was your big wake-up call.
That was it. I couldn't hold it back any further.
Yeah, and
it
that
was just. I just caved in. I thought I can't live with this.
Yeah.
I am no longer taking milk from the industry, and that was it. I said it before. Now, if I'm prepared to kill the calf to drink the milk, then I should drink it.
Okay.
And so if you want to drink cow's milk, industrial milk from your shops or whatever, that convenience, you kill the calf.
So that's...
You abuse the cow.
Yeah.
You ultimately slaughter the cow as well. Then take the milk. Are you fine with that? No, you're not.
ओम श्रीमन्महागणाधिपतये नमो नमः। ओम श्री भवानी शंकर मारुद्र देवताभ्यो नमो नमः। आवाहनं समर्पयामि, आसनं समर्पयामि, पादयो पाद्यं समर्पयामि। ओम आपोदिष्टा मयोर्भुवा स्थानमूर्धे धरात्नायः महिरणाय यक्षसे यो पश्चिमतमोरसः तस्य भाजे उषतिरिवा मातरः तस्मा अरंगमामो यक्ष्याय आपो जनेता जनः। शंकर भगवान को ने પહેલાં પાદ્યનો મતલબ જલ છે, જલ બીન પાણી. તો પહેલાં શંકર ભગવાનને જલથી પાણીથી એને અભિષેક કરવો જોઈએ. અને એના પછી પણ અભિષેક પણ જે પૂર્ણ અભિષેક રુદ્રાભિષેક થાય છે શંકર ભગવાનને, અને જલથી થાય તે જલથી કરી શકે છે. અને કોઈક વાર નારિયેળના પાણીથી પણ શંકર ભગવાનને અભિષેક કરે છે. તો શંકર ભગવાનના તો અભિષેક પ્રિય છે, એટલા માટે આપણે અભિષેક કરવાનું એને બહુ મહત્વ છે. શંકર ભગવાન કી